afternoon. Welcome to the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank. I'm Jared Floyd. Happy Thursday to you. Got a lot to cover. There's a lot to talk about, even though there's not a lot happening, if that makes any sense at all. Before we get there, again, today's forecast made possible by Surf Pro Monroe. West Monroe here to help 24/7. Call or click today. And this weekend, had a delicious lunch, reheated Flying Tiger pizza, because we went there last night. By the way, if you go to Flying Tiger and you're kind of stuck on the pizza, try the meatballs. The meatballs are perhaps the best meatballs in town. Trust me. Take some home. They reheat beautifully. A little spicy, got that fennel in there. They're perfect. Flying Tiger is also going to be the starting and ending point for the Love Like Olivia 10K, 5K. I keep saying 5K, 10K, but it's the 10K, 5K on Saturday. I believe registration starts at 8:30. The race starts at 10. If you are not in the race or participating in the race, just come out and support those that are and support the cause as well. The Digital Weather Desk is a proud sponsor of this year's race. So, again, come out and say hello. I'll be out there. The whole family will be there with our bells on. Be there with bells on. You know what I meant. Anyway, let's take a look at the satellite this afternoon. The afternoon cloud cover kind of sneaking in on the back of this easterly flow, which could get a little breezy at times this afternoon. More on that in just a minute. Radar made possible by Brown's Roofing. Schedule your free inspection at brownsroofingla.com. I keep wanting to say inspection, but not seeing any rain yet, except perhaps a brief speck moving through just to the east of Marksville. That's out of our area. That's over in Nick's territory. Also, as we go through the forecast today and you take a look at the drought monitor, a special shout out to our friends at Panhandle Weather, who just launched officially yesterday. Chris and Dan will be taking care of all of your Florida Panhandle forecasts. So just search Panhandle Weather on whatever social media platform that you're seeing this on. And so if you're ever in their area along the Florida Panhandle, a lot of people vacation there, frequent their that area during the summertime months. That gives you a local, experienced team of meteorologists there to provide weather there. They're way more experienced in that area, and I would hope that they would send folks that if they travel in this region, they would send them to me. That's what we do. Check the drought monitor. It was updated earlier today. This is the exact same thing, just zoomed in a little bit more. And while we've seen some improvements, I want to preface this by saying the drought monitor takes into account rain totals over a larger period of time. So while we saw quite a bit of rain middle parts of last week, it doesn't necessarily reflect as aggressively as one would typically think. Still moderate drought conditions. It also doesn't help that we settled right back into the warm, dry conditions right after the rain moved through. Again, moderate drought conditions across southeastern Arkansas, western Mississippi, and abnormally dry conditions for parts of the Arklamas elsewhere. Temperatures this afternoon firmly back into the mid to upper 80s. Not a lot of big surprises out there. 87 Monroe, 85 Ruston, 84 in Bastrop. Wind speeds are out of the east and pretty consistent in the 5 to 10 mile an hour range, although the Futurecast made possible by Bayou Power Sports wants to show those winds a little breezier at times this afternoon. Kept the official forecast in the 5 to 10 range, but I wouldn't be surprised to get up to the 10 to 15 range with some higher gusts, not only today but tomorrow. So high school kickers, beware. Our high school football games tomorrow night, it may be a little breezy, but those winds should die down as the night progresses. And it could be another breezy day on Saturday, just kind of an overall little bit of a pattern shift. And there's a lot of things happening. As you take a look at the water vapor imagery in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, that ridge of high pressure off to our east is kind of getting squished and pushed even farther to the east. Meanwhile, we have this weak trough of low pressure that's kind of nudging through our region. And with that, it's also going to allow for some slightly cooler, drier air to filter in. Nothing drastic. And in fact, most of us will still stay in the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. But as you go into the next couple of days, it also kind of paints an awkward picture in terms of that tropical moisture or the Gulf moisture that we're expecting to increase this weekend and into early next week. It was looking earlier like we would almost get kind of everything in tandem to work together. Now it's almost two different pieces of energy. The main trough moving north and east, and then this trough will move in a different direction, kind of off to the north and east as well. So this trough that you see through here versus this trough that you see through here may not necessarily work in tandem to the point that we see a deep influx of moisture into our area. That said, this is only one computer model's take on things, and overall there's a lot of moving pieces, but what it looks like will happen is our ridge of high pressure will get pushed to the east. It will allow for slightly cooler, drier air to move into the region, and there will be an increase in Gulf moisture at some point along the Gulf coastline this weekend, and where that surges inland obviously brings the best rain chances. Here's how things check out right now with the tropical satellite, and you can kind of see why there's at least some, not concern, but there's some interest for the potential for an area of low pressure to kind of wander westward, or like I said, kind of an elongated trough of low pressure to wander westward over the northern Gulf over the next few days. And it really starts with that area of cloud cover and thunderstorm activity out over the Bahamas. The radar also shows pretty persistent shower activity across central sections of Florida. And the reason, as we look at this, I don't want folks to be like, he's spending a lot of time on this, he must be concerned about it. There's just nothing else to talk about. And this is really the next big weather maker, if you will, for somebody in the southeastern United States. It may be for us, it may not be, but it all kind of works in tandem to bring some change to the forecast as we head through the second half of this week. Right now, tropical development likelihood is rather low over the next 2 and/or 7 days. That's why the tropical development color is yellow, not orange or red. So again, we're not just, deeply concerned at this point. It just could bring some changes in the forecast, and it could also bring some rainfall back in for parts of the region as well. I think the best chances really at this point are probably going to be to our east, but it's early and things can still change in the forecast overall. Speaking of tropical activity, here's a look at a graphic that you kind of see on social media a lot, but I wanted to bring it to you, and it kind of just shows where we are in terms of the peak intensities of the hurricane season, or the Atlantic hurricane season. And I don't want you to pay attention to the left side where it says storms per day per 100 years. That basically, if you read that and tried to understand, I tried to understand it for about 5 different minutes, or 5 different times over about a 10-minute span, and I was still lost. So don't really pay too much attention to that. Obviously, the deeper redder colors mean a higher frequency during the timeline of the Atlantic hurricane season. And usually our peak is kind of mid-September. You can see where I've put October 2nd on the map. And we're on the downhill slide in terms of tropical system frequency across the Atlantic basin. It's not to say that we can't see them. In fact, October can sometimes be a very busy month, just depending on the year. But we're on the back end of the most frequent, the most active time of the year. As we get deeper into October and November, you can still see tropical systems. They're usually more focused along the East Coast at that point, or even out over the open Atlantic. But there, again, we could still see some development out of this. Just wanted to show this to you because it's a cool little colorful graphic. And I spent, 10 minutes building it this morning. High temperatures for the rest of the day will be in the upper 80s to low 90s. Eddie, good afternoon. May, thanks for joining us. Afternoon high still very warm outside, above normal for this time of year. Average high should be about 85, 86. We're going to be nowhere close to that today. Could still run into a spotty shower here or there, maybe even an isolated storm. I think the best chances will probably be increasing to our west as the day progresses on. Lows tonight back into the mid to upper 60s, and then daytime highs tomorrow perhaps take a little bit of a dip. Again, a weak trough of low pressure, maybe even a weak frontal boundary, if you want to call it, tries to kind of nudge through the region, and that kind of provides some breaks as we go into the upcoming weekend. I still keep us generally near 90 degrees, especially considering Monroe has seen 93s and 94s, while the rest of the area has seen 90s and 91s. So, again, I'm just looking at the overall trends over the last few days. I do expect quite a bit of sunshine Friday, Saturday. And then the rain chances, really trimmed them back and kept them very conservative for that influx of Gulf moisture that we see early next week. There's also signs, trends, not necessarily specifics, but there's also signs that we could see a weak cold front late next week that could maybe bring some rain chances. But overall, most of the computer model data has brought cold fronts through the area. They're just dry fronts. There's just not a lot of moisture to work with. And really, as we go deeper into the month of October and into the latter part of the month, or the latter half of the month, we'll start focusing on getting more subtropical moisture back in across the region. Not just the daytime sea breeze afternoon storms, but deeper layers of moisture that can sustain more widespread heavy rain events, severe weather events, things of that nature. Those are more frequent later in the month versus the early half of the month. Still trying to get into the fall pattern across the region. Hope that all makes sense. We did cover a lot. Like I said, a lot to cover while there's nothing going on, just because there's a lot of different things, kind of moving pieces in the forecast that could bring some subtle change along the way over the next few days. Reminder, the Digital Weather Desk, powered by Century Next Bank, is a digital weather platform serving 33 parishes and counties across northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and western Mississippi. And it's made possible 100% free to you by the local businesses that you see there on your screen. You play your role by hopping in and saying hello and just staying up to date with the forecast. Again, I know it's relatively quiet, but we do this 3 times a day, rain or shine, and try to just keep you updated as best as possible. We'll have another forecast later today. Cubs play at 4 o'clock. If you're a Cubs fan, I'm going to suffer right along with you. And more baseball going along today as well. And then we'll have the high school and college football forecasts tomorrow. We'll have your fish and game forecast later tonight. Reception's been great. I think some folks are really benefiting from getting that during the evening hours to kind of prep for the next day. So we'll have that at about 8 o'clock. So still plenty of content. And as always, you can check your forecast and the latest radar at Digital.